Okay, here we go. It says we have a function f of x, so write that in your notebook. Okay. Then it says something we've never talked about in this class before. It says g of x equals f inverse of x. Okay, write that down. Okay, in a previous class, you did some work regarding the inverse, like what it means to have an inverse function. Most of the work you did in the previous class, you don't really need to carry forward. The only idea you need to carry forward is a really simple one, which is this. I'm just going to make up some numbers here as an example. So the numbers I'm making up do not apply to this problem. I'm just reviewing with you quickly the key idea that you have to remember with regard to what we mean by inverse function. So, if I have a function f, we'll just play a little point giveaway game here. So, I just need somebody to raise their hand and give me any random xy pair. We're just making these numbers up, so all you have to do is raise your hand, earn some points. And
2, 4.
So, point for Ada.
Yes.
Somebody else. Let's go, Maya.
3, 6.
Just random points. There's no pattern. Just random point for Maya. Point for Bryce. Point for Bryce. Okay. If you have a function like so, and then we have the inverse function. Okay, this is all you have to remember for this class. Really, I don't think I've ever needed anything else regarding inverse function other than what I'm about to show you. So someone pick up some more points and tell me, if this is the function f, what will the inverse function look like? Don't overthink it, Jane. So if x is 4, y will equal 2. Point for Jane. Next person. Preston. Point for Preston. Josh. That's it. Okay? That's all you have to remember, as far as I can remember, about inverse functions. Very good. So they said that g is the inverse of f. So this is just what we mean by inverse function. So right here it says, since g is the inverse of f, and then they say g of 2 equals 1. Let's write that down. What is the value of g prime of 2? Okay, the most important clue in this problem is right here. Because after having studied hundreds of AP problems, I've found they have never ever asked a question that involved an inverse function unless they actually wanted you to find the derivative of the inverse function. And that's what they're doing here. They want you to find g prime of 2. But g is the inverse of f. So what they actually want you to find is the derivative of f inverse. And they want you to find that derivative specifically for an x value of 2. Because they're saying find g prime of 2, but g prime would be the derivative of g. But g is the same thing as f inverse. So they want you to find the derivative of f inverse when x is 2. Wave at me if you need me to talk more about what they're asking for. So are you comfortable that they asked for this? So then I just pieced together all the other clues they're giving me. You're good. 2 points. Please.
So we're gonna, are you gonna tell us right now how to make the f of x inverse?
2 points for math. You don't That's the trick. You don't really want to find F inverse. You want to use a formula that's on your green sheet that we haven't used before. Okay? The formula says the derivative of F inverse equals 1 over F prime of F inverse of 2. The way Matt is thinking about it is not incorrect, it's just very, very difficult. So we don't want to go that way. It's the trap, actually. Like if you go the other way, it's much harder. This is the easy way to go. Question? You need me to repeat anything? So we're looking for the, oh please, Matt.
You don't have to write anything else besides like F prime, F inverse of 2. You don't have to like write out the inverse, the derivative.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
The final answer is some number, so we got to do something here.
Yeah.
But these problems where they talk about an inverse function, and then they ask you to find the derivative of the inverse, they are puzzle problems. They're like find what equals what equals what equals what, and put it all together. So these are exercises in using the equal sign. So just starting here, I need to get some more space, so I'm going to go to the next page. Is it okay if I change pages? Okay, so let's copy this over. Give it a second for the machine to copy it. I'm just looking here. When this changes to 41, I know it's copied because there's no other indication that it actually copied. So now I can erase all of this. Hold this up to the top. Okay, we want to find F inverse of 2. That's the next step. Figure out what F inverse of 2 is going to equal. So something in the problem is telling us how to find F inverse of 2. Just look at the clues, talk to each other, raise your hand when you see it. What is the value, like what belongs here? It's just a matter of using the equal sign. There's no math that I need to teach you. You just need to look at the symbols, look at the equal sign, figure out what F inverse of 2 is going to be. Feel free to talk to each other, just raise your hand when you see it. Go, Sarah. It's good work. They told us that g of x, so g of any value, is exactly the same as f inverse of that same value. So if they're asking for f inverse of 2, that's the same as saying what's g of 2, and it states g of 2 is 1. It's just an exercise in just reading the problem. Now, there's some other problems in the packet that we won't have time to do today. You're going to try to do those on your own, where you'll have to use this idea still, the idea of an inverse. We didn't have to use that here, but you will. That's why I reviewed it. So, questions? Cool. So we found F inverse of 2. So this is what we're trying to figure out. So we now know that this here, in fact, let's rearrange these a little bit. Nah, it won't work now. So we're trying to find the derivative of, oh, that was cool, fun. New color. All right. Stupid. Look. So we're trying to find this. So the derivative of F inverse of x at an x value of 2, which is the same as finding 1 all over f prime, but now we know f inverse of 2 has a value of 1. So now we're looking for f prime of 1. Look at the problem, talk to each other, raise your hand when you can tell me. How can we find f prime of 1 in this particular problem? You can can see it. I don't have to teach you anything new. Talk to each other. Raise your hand. I want to find f prime of 1. How am I going to do that? Show me your hand. Is the bucket hat all the same thing? Oh, that wasn't a custom. It was custom to variety. The president, what's up with him? I thought Nick was the president.
No, I don't remember when I get.
Oh, he's just vice president. He's vice president.
Yeah.
Who's president?
Dan was vice president.
I don't know. Hands up. What's f prime of 1? Come on. More hands. What is f prime of 1? Tell me. How do you know?
Because words with equal signs. You just look at the orange, but so you have f prime of 1 over there, over 1, so each times by 1 to get it out from the denominator.
2 points, but you are making an error, so don't do that. No worries. So, Ella.
You take the derivative of f of x, which is.
So let's pause for a second. So here's f. So I've got f here. You're on the right path. That's why I'm pausing. So, so next, Ella.
So then you take the derivative of that, which is 3x squared plus 1.
Keep going.
And then you plug in 1, which is 3 plus 1, which is 4.
Okay, how many knew that before she said it? 2 points, 3 for Ella. Okay, again, I'll keep encouraging you. Do the work in your notebook. Learn to have good notation. You will score higher on tests. One reason you score lower is because you get really lazy with notation. Just learn to use the equal sign. It will prevent mistakes. Questions here? Plus, you have to do it on the written section. Awesome. So what's left to do? Ken, come on. Like, in lots of AP problems, you've got to see the big picture, do little steps, see the big picture again. So now we're back to big picture. We've done a little step. We've got to see the big picture. Talk to each other. Raise your hand. Come on. I don't have to teach you anything here. You just have to see it. Like, there's no techniques. Every problem is different, but you just see what relates to what. Use the equal sign. Brianna, where are we at? So now we know this is going to equal 1 over 4. How many knew that we needed to do that? 2 points, 3 for Brianna. So this is not a trick question. I'm going to just make sure you are following the discussion. What should I do now? This kind of feels like a trick. If it feels like a trick, then you're on track. But what should I do at this point? Hands up. If this seems really stupid, you are thinking correctly. What are we doing now, Devin?
Circle B.
Good man. Payment for Devin. Nicely done. I felt like I was asking a really stupid question, but I just wanted to make sure people were not just like lost in the work. We just circle B, that's it. That's all you do. How many knew it? 2 points. Okay. Good luck. Big ideas. Big ideas. So all eyes on me. Everybody focus here. Look, come on, look here. Okay, there are other problems in the packet that involve this formula. They don't look like this, of course, because the AP test writers always come up with something new. So the big ideas you should be noticing are, when you read a problem that's talking about an inverse, you can be highly suspicious that they want you to use this. I've never seen a problem where you wouldn't. Okay? Maybe this will be the first time in 60 years that they do, but they never have. So if they talk about inverse, they're probably wanting this. So I look a little bit closer and determine what do they really want. Once I find what I'm looking for, I just use the formula, and then it just becomes a puzzle. Sometimes the puzzle will involve tables, sometimes formulas. It just varies. Sometimes a graph, but it's still the same puzzle. You're just trying to find these values and just put them together. So there's really not anything else I can teach you. You just have to logically put the pieces together. You're going to try it in the pack. If you have trouble, you can ask me about it on Tuesdays. Question? Cool. Stop that one.